For 6 months, she parked across my driveway like she owned the street. I asked nicely. I begged. I even offered to pay for a new spot. But she didn't just ignore me, she mocked me. Called me trailer trash in front of my daughter. I lost my job, missed hospital visits, and got fined because of her. So I got creative. And when she found her car gone one morning, what I told her next. Shut her up forever. I didn't even notice the red Lexus at first. Not until I tried to pull into my driveway and had to brake hard to avoid slamming into it. It was a Tuesday. Nevada heat already rising, sun bouncing off the hood like it owned the place. The car was parked sideways, its tail just grazing the entrance to my driveway. Not fully blocking it, but enough to make it impossible to back in without scraping my truck. I sighed, rolled down my window, and honked once. Nothing. The car just sat there like a smug middle finger. I lived in a modest one-story home in Henderson. A quiet street with cactuses, trimmed lawns, and too many HOA rules enforced signs for my taste. I bought the house 2 years after my divorce, trading city life for something slower and supposedly friendlier. That turned out to be half true. Especially after she moved in across the street. Danielle Marks. HOA secretary. Platinum blonde hair that didn't quite hide the thinning at the top. Big sunglasses. Always with a measuring tape or clipboard in hand. She had this way of looking at you that made you feel like a trespasser in your own life. She'd moved into her son's house when he got deployed. And within a week, she'd turned our quiet street into her personal kingdom. I put the truck in park, got out, and walked up to the car. No one inside. Engine cold. Windows up. That's when I noticed the note on her windshield, facing inward. Temporary parking, HOA business. DM. I stared at it. My stomach tightened. Lily would be home from school in an hour. I needed the driveway clear so I could unload the HVAC unit I'd finally scored for a freelance job. After being laid off last month, I couldn't afford to mess this one up. And Danielle knew that. This wasn't her first time doing this. But it was the first time she left a note, bold enough now to claim she had a right to block me in. I crossed the street and rang her doorbell. She answered wearing slippers, a silk robe, and that smug HOA smirk. "Can I help you?" she asked like I was a stranger selling vacuum cleaners. "You're blocking my driveway." Again. Her eyes flicked over my shoulder. "Barely. It's enough. I can't get the truck in without scratching it. You could park on the street like everyone else. My truck's full of equipment. I'm working." Her lips curled up like she smelled something sour. "Are you even allowed to run a business out of your home? HOA code strictly forbids." "I'm not running a business. I'm unloading one unit. That's it." She folded her arms. "Well, I'm on HOA business, so I'm allowed to park here temporarily. It's in the charter. Section 4B. "There's no such thing," I said, trying not to let my voice rise. She tilted her head. "You seem agitated. Maybe I should file a report." That was Danielle's favorite move. Threats dressed in fake concern. Last month she'd warned my neighbor about a potential fire hazard when his wife hung wind chimes too close to the eaves. A week later, she had their garden hose cited for unauthorized modifications. I walked away. Not because I was scared, but because I was tired. And angry. And too damn broke to pick a fight that would cost me. That night, I tried to let it go. Made Lily mac and cheese, helped her with a science project, watched some cartoons on the couch. But when I looked out the window at 9:45 p.m., the Lexus was still there. Same angle. Same offense. By morning, it was gone. Like it had never been there. No apology. No conversation. No nothing. Just silence and entitlement. But it didn't stop there. 2 days later, she did it again. Parked at the exact same angle, blocking the exact same corner of my driveway. Only this time, she added insult to injury by leaving her hazard lights on, as if it were some kind of emergency. I took photos. Time-stamped. Then I reported it to the HOA board. They never responded. Because she was the board. The following week, it escalated. I got a warning letter, signed by Danielle Marks, about me. My work vehicle was allegedly violating HOA street view policies. I was under investigation for unauthorized equipment storage in my garage. I laughed. A bitter, low laugh. My garage was half empty. But that didn't matter. Danielle had a clipboard and a cause. And I was her target. 3 missed job opportunities. 2 client cancellations. 1 hospital visit where I had to leave Lily with a neighbor because I couldn't move the truck in time. She was ruining my life, one petty power move at a time. I didn't tell Lily everything, but she knew enough. Kids always do. One night, as I tucked her in, she asked, "Daddy, why is the lady across the street so mean to you?" I smiled weakly. "Some people just like control, honey. They think it makes them important. Can't you make her stop?" I paused. Thought about calling the city, filing an official report, maybe hiring a lawyer I couldn't afford. Instead, I kissed her forehead and said, sometimes, the best way to win is to wait. And then do something smart. Because the truth was, I was done playing fair. I was done asking. She wanted to park in my driveway. Fine. I'd make sure it was the last driveway she ever blocked. It started with a map. A simple sketch I drew on the back of Lily's old math homework. Our street, Danielle's house, my driveway, the streetlight, the corner she always used to angle her Lexus. I added cameras. Times. Shadows. Patterns. I knew her car better than my own now. She always parked between 3:50 and 4:10 p.m. She always left by 10 a.m. next day, unless it was Friday, then it sat through the weekend. She didn't park like a neighbor. She parked like a landlord. I wasn't just annoyed. I was boxed in. Literally. I had clients ghosting me because I couldn't promise delivery times. And the HOA fines were stacking up, $50 here, $75 there. Citations for nonsense, grass half an inch too long, unapproved child scooter in front yard. All signed, Danielle Marks, HOA Secretary. I kept every envelope in a box under my sink. I planned to take it somewhere one day, maybe the city, maybe the news. But I knew it wouldn't be enough. Not yet. That Friday was the final straw. Lily had a school play. She was a sunflower, yellow dress, paper petals, shy little smile. The first time she'd been on a stage since the divorce. I left work early. Got the costume. Picked up flowers. Parked 2 blocks away because Danielle was sprawled across my driveway again, her Lexus angled out like she wanted it to be seen from space. I ran inside to change, 5 minutes, tops. When I came out, she was sitting on her porch sipping iced tea. She watched me walk past my own driveway, struggling to carry a bouquet and Lily's little sunflower headpiece. And she smiled. That sick little smile of hers. I stopped. You know you're blocking me in again, I said. She shrugged, not even pretending anymore. Maybe you should move somewhere more appropriate. What's that supposed to mean? She sipped her tea. This is a community, a standard. People like you just bring it down. People like me. She meant single dads. She meant laid-off blue-collar workers. She meant anyone without a Mercedes and a real estate license. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I just nodded and walked away. But inside, something broke. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, her words echoing over and over, people like you. By 2 a.m., I was on Craigslist. Then Facebook Marketplace. Then backdoor mechanic forums. Looking for something I hadn't considered before. Not revenge. Not violence. Just inconvenience. The kind that eats at you quietly. The next week, I paid a visit to someone I hadn't spoken to in years, Darren Soto. Used to run a towing company before the feds shut it down for licensing irregularities. These days, he worked freelance vehicle relocation. We met in the parking lot behind a shuttered JCPenney. He was wearing a faded AC/DC shirt and drinking gas station coffee. You sure you want to do this? He asked. She's not gonna stop unless someone makes her. He scratched his chin. All right. I know a guy who still runs plates for me. You give me the make, model, VIN if possible. I'll take care of the rest. How much? He looked me over. For you, $300. Cash. I swallowed hard. That was grocery money. Utility money. But I handed it over. Because this wasn't just about me anymore. It was about Lily. About dignity. About the line she crossed. 2 days later, Danielle blocked the driveway again. And this time, I didn't say a word. I let her park. Let her drink that sweet tea on the porch. Let her smirk when I reversed down the street and left for work on foot. Because I knew what was coming. The tow was set for Friday at 4:45 a.m. Darren said it had to be early, no witnesses, no drama. Just gone. And to be clear, this wasn't some chop shop operation. The car wasn't being stripped or destroyed. Just relocated, far enough that Danielle would never find it without a miracle and a map. Where are you taking it? I asked. He grinned. Let's just say she'll have to brush up on her Spanish. We're moving it very south. Friday came. I didn't sleep. At exactly 4:42 a.m., I stood in my front window and watched Darren's flatbed truck glide silently down the road, lights off. They backed in with surgical precision. Straps. Hooks. Hydraulics. And then, goodbye, Lexus. Gone in under 5 minutes. I watched from behind the curtain. My heart didn't race. It slowed. For the first time in weeks, I felt something like peace. At 8:17 a.m., Danielle's scream shattered it. She stood in the middle of the road barefoot, robe flapping, pointing at the empty space like it was a crime scene. Where is it? She shrieked. Neighbors peeked through blinds. Some stepped outside, feigning concern. Others just smiled. Danielle stomped up to my door and banged her fist against it. I opened slowly. "She's gone," she said, voice shrill. "My car's gone." You did this." I blinked innocently. "Did what?" "Don't play dumb with me. This is your fault. You probably called some junkyard." "Danielle," I said softly, "are you sure you didn't just forget where you parked?" Her eyes widened. "You think this is funny? I'm going to the police." "You should," I said. "You should definitely tell them how you blocked my driveway 12 times, and I have it all on camera." That gave her pause. She glanced at the ring cam above my door, then at the neighbors who were now filming with their phones. Her jaw clenched. "You're going to regret this." I leaned in. "Danielle, I already did. Every day you park there. But not anymore." She stormed off, robe dragging in the dirt. And I closed the door, smiled, and made Lily pancakes. But this wasn't over. I knew her. Danielle Marks wasn't the kind of woman to back down after one bad day. She'd come back. Worse. And I needed to be ready for what happened next. The Lexus never returned. That was the first miracle. The second. For 3 straight days, Danielle didn't step foot on my driveway. She barely left her porch. Just paced back and forth like a restless animal, phone pressed to her ear, barking orders and threatening lawsuits that nobody on the other end seemed to take seriously. She filed a police report. I know because Officer Jennings came by, his cruiser idling in front of my house while Lily played hopscotch in the driveway, for the first time in months. He asked me a few polite questions. I answered calmly. Showed him the footage. Every blocked day. Every inch of Lexus over my property line. Time stamps. Danielle's signature on the citations she gave me. He didn't say much, but when he left, he gave me a small nod. That's when I realized something important. She'd lost her power. And now, she was scrambling to get it back. It didn't take long for her to try. The next morning, I found 3 fresh HOA violations taped to my front door, all dated before the Lexus disappeared. Unauthorized decorative item, child sidewalk chalk art, improper storage of HVAC equipment in garage. Offensive signage, which, apparently, was Lily's crayon drawing taped inside our kitchen window. It said, "Be kind." It was laughable. But also strategic. She was creating a paper trail. A reason to fine me. To evict me, if she could. I called the HOA complaint line. Got a voicemail that said, "Please contact Danielle Marks for all board matters." Perfect. Then came the real blow. Monday morning, I woke to a yellow slip in the mailbox, intent to lien on my property, due to ongoing HOA violations. Danielle had submitted the paperwork herself, using every petty citation she'd written to stack up the fine total past $2,000. I sat on the porch staring at that paper like it was a death sentence. Because for me, it kind of was. I was one missed mortgage payment away from disaster. One lost job away from pulling Lily out of her school and couch surfing with friends. I wanted to punch a hole in the wall. But Lily opened the front door just then and handed me a juice box. "Don't let her make you mad," she said, small voice cutting through my storm. I stared at her. "Where'd you hear that?" "You," she said, smiling. "Last time Mommy forgot my birthday. You said, 'Don't give people power they don't deserve.'" I closed my eyes. She was right. Danielle wanted me furious. She wanted me unhinged, loud, sloppy. Instead, I got quiet and started making real moves. First, I called a lawyer. A buddy of mine from high school, Marcus Gray, who owed me a favor from back when I fixed his AC in July heat for half price. He wasn't a property expert, but he knew a guy who was. Turns out, Danielle had crossed a line. Big time. According to the Nevada revised statutes, HOA board members are not allowed to file liens without a hearing, a neutral hearing, with a third-party review. Danielle hadn't even notified the board president. Because she was the board president. So I filed a formal dispute. Sent it certified. Had Marcus's contact add a cease and desist letter on top of it. Language was clean, sharp, legal. Then I did one more thing. I started knocking on doors. Turns out, Danielle had made more enemies than friends. The Wilsons had been fined for unauthorized patio furniture, which turned out to be a folding chair Mr. Wilson sat in while reading his Bible. The Nguyen's got cited for excessive holiday lights in November. And get this, Danielle once tried to evict a woman for having a therapy cat without proper documentation. That woman. Widow. Cancer survivor. 92 years old. I gathered names. Dates. Phone numbers. I made a list, then printed flyers. HOA reform meeting, Saturday at 4 p.m. in the community center. Underneath. You are not the only one. Saturday came. I didn't know what to expect. I brought donuts. Figured maybe 6 people would show. We had 32. We didn't even fit in the side room. Had to drag chairs into the main hall. And as soon as people started talking, it was like a floodgate opened. One guy stood up and said Danielle once told his daughter not to ride her pink bike because pastel colors weren't board approved. A woman in the back said she had to take down her American flag because Danielle said the pole angle was too aggressive. By the end, people were fired up. Not just annoyed. Ready. We formed a recall petition. We needed 51% of the neighborhood signatures to trigger a revote. We got 63% in 2 days. Danielle caught wind fast. And she snapped. Started walking door to door, clipboard in hand, trying to explain herself. But people weren't having it. Some wouldn't even open the door. One guy, a retired Marine, just held up the petition and said, "You brought this on yourself." I thought maybe that would be it. But it wasn't. She had one more move in her. And it was low. Wednesday morning, I woke up to banging on my garage. Real banging. I ran outside in shorts and a t-shirt, and there they were. 2 men in reflective vests with bolt cutters, city truck idling by the curb. "What are you doing?" I shouted. "Removing unlicensed construction equipment," one said. "That's my personal HVAC unit. It's not for sale. It's in my garage." This order came from HOA compliance. I was shaking. "That's not legal. You can't just take private property." They hesitated. I stepped between them and the garage door, heart pounding. "You're not taking a damn thing unless you show me a warrant or get the cops." They didn't have either. They got in the truck and left, after I took photos of their plates and IDs. Danielle had officially crossed from HOA nuisance into criminal territory, and I knew exactly what to do next. That night, I made 2 calls. One to Marcus. One to a local investigative reporter who'd been covering HOA abuses in the county. And then I made a third. To Darren. I had one more favor to cash in. And this one would end it, for good. End of part 3. White heavy checkmark part 4 next. Danielle's downfall begins, but not with shouting or chaos. With precision. And what Ethan sets in motion changes the entire neighborhood. Continue with part 4. Ask ChatGPT.